Hello and welcome to this video on DevOps plus security. The new DevOps is DevSecOps. As we talked about this previously, you can't really leave security out of your DevOps workflow because at the end of the day, the cost of having a data breach is significantly high, but at the same time, the overhead that security adds in your delivery process can be tremendous. So why not work with them to automate the checks and balances that they perform as a security operation and bring that left into the life cycle of development, testing, like you've done with your build and release pipelines. In this video, we're gonna look at what it means to bring security into the loop, and we'll look at one of the extensions called White Source that is available in the Visual Studio Team Services Marketplace that you can put to work. That gives you the ability to kind of have security checks done as part of your build and release pipeline. So as this slide depicts, the cost of fixing issues that are related to security are significantly higher as you move from the coding to build to QA and then into production. Now, of course, when there's a security breach in production, fixing it means you kind of need to address it in your dev environments and then test it all the way through. And you might not have all the relevant infrastructure to create those scenarios that you may have in production. So it just becomes harder and more difficult to address these scenarios. And what are those some of the common scenarios that you would want to check from a security point of view? The first thing you would want to check is you're taking dependency on open source, right? So a lot of the times when we need some sort of a package that does something, we go and look it up on NuGet or we go and look it up on Google, and then we simply download it and attach it to our project without thinking whether there might be some malware scripts in that package. We don't do a good enough job to go and investigate whether the package is clean or it's got some code that might be sniffing some of the content from our code base and pushing it out into the developers' data collection as they might have set it up. So, for example, if you are writing some code for a bank and you take a dependency on a package which behind the scene is publishing credit card information out, then you're in a bit of a trouble. So wouldn't it be great if there was a way to check whether a package has been scanned and has a quality standard associated to it? Luckily, there are providers out there that have a database of quality against packages, licenses against packages, and you're basically paying to access that database. Now, when you run this as part of your pipeline, it will make a call out to that database provided by that company to validate whether the package that you're taking dependency on is categorized under any of the threats, and if not, then you're good to use it. The other value adds that come from this is if you're using a package that is out of date, but you haven't realized that newer versions of that package have been released, then you might be onboarding some legacy debt here. And it's worth having a process that can identify when packages are out of date and inform you so that you can go ahead and do the updates as and when you find necessary. So let's flip right into the demo where we'll walk through quickly this extension and see it in action. So as you can see, I'm in Visual Studio Team Services, and I'm in a build here, that build pipeline. And within this pipeline, I've added two extensions called White Source Bold and White Source. You wouldn't have these pre-installed on your VSTS instance, but you can get to them by going into the marketplace and searching for White Source. And there they are. They're effectively free for a trial period, and one of them is free. You just have to sign up on the vendor website. But you can read because the licensing conditions keep changing. So having installed it, I've added it to my pipeline here, and I don't need to do any specific configuration. I just need to have it some point in my pipeline so that it's after the NuGet package restore, so that it can get the packages that it needs to go and identify whether they're in that threat database or not. And in the full product called White Source, there is an alerting mechanism as well. You just need to go and register on the vendor website, where it creates a dashboard for you and then sends you alerts rather than you having to go to check the dashboard. It tells you that a certain package might be going out of date. notifying you that when you have time, go and update it. So let's trigger this. I'll run this on the hosted agent. While this is working, I've already ran a sample of this and created the report. Let me just walk you through the report. So as you can see from the previous build that I've run here, once the build is successful, I see an option here saying white source bold build report. And I just need to navigate to this section here, white source bold. And as you can see here, I can see the build definition this was run for. I can see when it was last scanned. And it's giving me an overall red-green rating to say how secure or vulnerable my repository here is. On top of that, it's giving me a breakdown of the severity-based distribution of the problem. So for example, if I see here, it's saying I have the following packages and they have 7 separate licensings on them. Like some of them are, Apache 2.0. This is pretty much open source. So there are some packages that are licensed to Microsoft. So I need to be aware that I use them under the correct license provision rather than, freely sharing them. But it's highlighting that here. Then the other thing you see is some of these packages that I've taken dependency on don't have any license distribution assigned to them. So they might be ones worth looking at. At the bottom here, it's telling me outdated libraries. So if I click show, I can see specifically which libraries I am taking a dependency on, which have already gone out of date. For example, this one here, the version that I'm referencing is from 2013. Well, that's pretty old. Considering that there's a new version available, I should really think about upgrading the version that I have. And unless you have some kind of a mechanism that does a thorough scan like this every time you commit code, chances are you're never going to get to this information. I mean, the security teams don't have a microscope to sit down and scan every line of code that you write. Well, they can't scan every line of code in every branch, in every project, in every repository, right? And if you're a bigger distributed organization, then doing a validation only gets difficult. So without bringing security into the fold, it's only going to be harder to ensure that your products are fully security compliant. And I think starting off by checking the open source licensing, the open source dependencies is a good start. And also it enables you to upgrade your packages when newer versions are available. So go check out white source and put their extension in your build pipeline and try it out.